How badly do you want to see other people in heaven? Maybe put it in terms of this. What would you be willing to give up to see someone else in heaven? As you consider that thought, I want to tell you a story about Jesus. Jesus was on the Sea of Galilee on a boat, and he had gotten off the boat. And right as he got off the boat, he was approached by a man. Now, there was something just not normal about this man. And we're told in the text that he is demon possessed. And this was a scary, scary kind of demon possession. This man was violent. They had tried to bind him hand and foot. The people from the city would try to bind him hand and foot, but he was so strong that he would break those chains, and there was nobody strong enough in town to actually bind him. And so he kind of lived on the outskirts of town. He would yell constantly. He would cut himself with stones. This was a guy that people avoided at all costs. And this was the guy that ran up to Jesus. He runs up to Jesus, he falls on his knees, and he begs Jesus. Now, it seems like it's the demon speaking through him. He's begging Jesus not to torture him. And Jesus looks at the man and casts the demons out. He says, "Leave this man." And before the demons come out, they speak to Jesus. And they say, "Send us into those pigs that are over there." You see, just across the field, there was this big herd of pigs. And so Jesus cast the demons into the pigs. The pigs, they kind of go crazy and they run into the Sea of Galilee and they die. Well, the people who were herding the pigs were obviously kind of maybe upset. Maybe they were a little confused. But anyways, they had something to tell, and they wanted to go into town and tell everybody what had happened. And so they did. And they brought a bunch of people back out. And those people, as they walked up, they saw this man that they had previously tried to bind hand and foot, this man that was crazy by their estimation, that they tried to avoid. And he was clothed, which means he probably wasn't before, and he was acting normal. It was obvious to them that he was no longer possessed by a demon. And yet, the response of the crowd of people that came from the town to Jesus maybe surprises us. This was a great thing that Jesus had done for this man. And yet, they plead with Jesus, "Leave our region. Get out of here. We don't want you here anymore." Why would they do that? Jesus had just done this amazing thing for this man. He had changed this man's life forever. He changed his eternity forever. And yet they're pleading with Jesus to leave. Well, maybe they were scared. That's maybe one option. Or maybe they were a little upset that Jesus just ruined their economy. That 2,000 pigs were now dead because of Jesus. If you kind of boil that down, what essentially they're saying, they're not consciously saying this, but with their actions, here's what they're saying. The salvation of this man's soul was not worth 2,000 pigs. It was not worth the local economy. What is salvation of other people's souls worth to you? How much do you care about other people? What would you be willing to give up? Those are good questions to ask ourselves as we're reflecting on how much we properly care for others. And maybe those questions reveal that I'm somewhat convicted. Maybe I don't care for others as much as I would like, as much as God commands us to. And in those moments, when you feel convicted like that, we look to the gospel. We look to what Jesus was willing to give up for the salvation of souls. He was willing to give up his own life. And even more than that, he was willing to be forsaken by God for the salvation of everyone's soul. That's how much Jesus loves you. That's how much Jesus loves everyone. And when we see that, we see the gospel properly. And when we see that, we embrace the gospel. And when we embrace the gospel, we want so badly for others to be saved. This man who was healed from demon possession, he had the right idea. After he was healed, he wanted to follow Jesus. Out of thanks for what Jesus had done, he wanted to learn more about Jesus. And Jesus urged him to stay and be an evangelist in that town. Maybe that man would turn out to be one of the greatest evangelists in that town. As you follow Jesus, be that evangelist that desires the salvation of other people's souls and wants that so badly that you're willing to tell other people about that.